It is day 76 of the national emergency. Are you still hanging in there? I miss you. You know who I miss? Kind of weird, really, but I miss standing in line. I miss standing in a line and talking to people. Now, nowadays more than ever, we find ourselves standing in a lot of lines, but we're really not talking to each other. Well, first of all, Kate has been on a mask jag, right? So we've all got our masks on, and even at 6 feet, people aren't even saying hello or good afternoon, all the niceties that we usually get. Today we're going to talk a little bit about that function and that form. What are some of the changes that we've seen in the real world around us in social spaces? Steve Wanta, an architect, many of you know him, love him, is going to talk with us about function and form. Laurelyn and Rocky are back. Now, Laurelyn and Rocky played the first time on our show. It was March 26th, exactly 2 months ago. 2 months doesn't seem like a lot of time, but a lot has happened in those. And with them toward the end of the show. So once again, enjoy it.
In between two tall mountains, there's a place they call lonesome. Don't see why they call it lonesome. I'm never lonesome when I go there. See that bird sitting on my windowsill, while he's saying whippoorwill all the night through. See that brook running by my kitchen door, well, it couldn't talk no more if it was you. Up that tree there's sort of a squirrel thing, sounds just like we did when we were quarreling. In the yard I keep a pig or two, they drop in for dinner like you used to do. I don't stand in the need of company with everything I see, talking like you. Up that tree there's sort of a squirrel thing, sounds just like we did when we were quarreling. You may think you left me all alone, but I can hear you talk without a telephone. I don't stand in the need of company with everything I see, talking like you. I don't stand in the need of company with everything I see, talking like you. See that bird sitting on my windowsill, while he's saying whippoorwill all the night through. Just whippoorwill all the night through. In between two tall mountains, there's a place they call lonesome. Don't see why they call it lonesome. I'm never lonesome, now I live there. Ah, yeah.
That was amazing. Do you remember that? That was way back in the very beginning. All right, look, everybody's seen it already. You can't imagine the pressure that these suits put on you. Look, they've seen it. All right, look, here, I'm gonna show you. You're gonna see what I have to put up with during this show. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's switch to camera 2. Switch. All right. Very funny. Look, people want to see the commercial. Nobody is interested in spending $1 million on a used minivan.
It's supposed to be
during a pandemic.
$999.99. The guy wrote it wrong. We bought airtime. We got to move units. Look,
Did you tell people about sharing the live stream? They're at home, they're watching, they're enjoying. I don't know, they don't know how to push the share button. Why don't they share? It's easy. Did you tell them the thing about the new intern position? I don't think it's appropriate to use the word intern if you intend for this person to run the whole social media department. Intern is the only position there is in a social media department. Just read it. Are you media savvy? Do you have some time on your hands? If so, why don't you volunteer to be the Dispatch's social media intern? Help spread the good word. Really, I just don't think the idea of spreading anything these days is a good sentiment, especially in these unparalleled times. All right, I'm playing the commercial. In these uncertain times, we're here for you, for all you do. We're all in this together. You've got mirrors, you've got front door and back door that leads to interior, exterior. Back wiper, that'll wipe you. Hi, Mom. We accept PayPal. PayPal.
0% financing available. We finance 0%.
Buy this minivan. I'm telling you guys, interns selling the minivan, I don't know. We got to have a station meeting soon. But anyway, as we mentioned at the top of the show, we're talking a little bit about function and form tonight as things are rapidly changing around us. Now, most folks don't think of architecture, even in New York City, until they're standing literally in front of the Flatiron Building. But as Steve Wanta will tell you, architecture and design are literally all around us. So let's bring Steve in right now. There he is.
Hi there.
Hello, Steve. How are you?
Just dandy.
Steve, you have the most impressive background and a real background, I have to say, of anyone that we've ever had on this show. So, Steve, tell everybody first, where geographically are you?
So we're on Crosby Street on the east side of Soho, and it's pretty empty here.
Yeah.
And the in fact, you know, for most of the end of March and April, it was desolate. I mean, it was really the only, and sometime by the second week of April, Jessica, my wife, was saying, she was sort of nagging at her what it reminded her of, and then she realized it actually was when we first moved here in 1984, and in fact it was even emptier than that because there were no cars on the street. It was essentially like it'd be like what it was like on Christmas morning here or something like that, where it's just empty.
Right. And now, are you seeing little trickles or still emptiness?
There's a bit of life. I mean, of course, it all makes sense because basically what we were overrun by was tourists and/or shoppers, and neither of those things are going on.
Right.
And so what's happened is that the weather's been very nice, so people have been strolling down the street. In theory, people have been saying to me, "Oh, I see more homeless people," but I truly believe this, that it seems like we're seeing more. I think it's the same number or less than we used to see, except that now there's not the 100 tourists that would be there, and those that now you see them. Right. So not right where we are, but sort of surrounding us. Some of the restaurants are opening, they're doing takeout, but they're also starting to do, with the nice weather, they're selling cocktails right out to the street, which is a really interesting. I'm not even sure it's an entirely legal enterprise having to do with the drinking laws, but at any rate, many of them are doing it.
Are happening. Okay, so before we get into this a little bit deeper, I just want to roll this little slideshow of some photos that we looked at last night. Here we go. Okay, yeah. So that was just a smattering of things that people have seen in their lives now. Tape on the ground at grocery stores. Tape measuring 6 feet. Signs now we're seeing in the parks that are like, this is what 6 feet looks like. So just thinking kind of in a function and form, what do you see, Steve, when you see these sort of knee-jerk reactions?
Well, it makes sense. I mean, and part of it is that we're not getting any national, direction effectively for any of this. And so everybody's sort of, left up to their own devices to a degree. Obviously in New York State, Cuomo has been pretty active, and there's more of a sense of there being some set of protocols that one should follow, but but really, they are to a degree knee-jerk reactions, and people are trying to figure out something, and it's impressive. I mean, there's a few restaurants all over, but even near us, that have never really closed, or they only closed a week or two and were open for takeout, and they had to come up with a way of dealing with people queuing and all of that, right? So I think that it's all of this is there's a lot more that is going to evolve, and I mean, it sort of goes beyond. I was talking to somebody earlier today about sort of setting up a better home office, because they realize that they're actually going to be at home for another 2 months at least,
right?
Maybe till Labor Day or after,
right?
And so it's like they're thinking about it a completely different way. In other words, they had their office set up on their dining table, and they were for appearances. They live with, she lives with her son, and so that would get cleared off every night at dinner time, right? And then she's realizing, like, I'm really tired of picking up my big screen and moving it, right? And so, and there, I think there's going to be a lot more of that. And then there's the other side of things we talked about, which is these enterprising manufacturers that I get email feeds from. They're showing plexiglass partitions being put up, almost like it's like an office cubicle, except that now that clear partition goes to the ceiling. And so
in our social spaces, we're dealing right now with this provisional, whatever people can throw at it that says keep some distance. That's basically everybody's game plan. Whatever we were, a restaurant or a coffee shop or a Staples, we got to get people to keep some distance. And now what you're saying is, through people's homes, this notion of the office is settling into their private home, but some people are still trying to kind of hoopty the old office.
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting to see how it evolves, because I think that there already was this big move that's been going on for years about back office space, and even sort of back office space, and even escalating what the definition of that is, and because of real estate costs, of moving them to Jersey City or wherever, but outside of Manhattan, let's say. And the fact is that at some level, all of those people are now working from home, right? And so now, and I think that part of it is that the home workspace is going to be more of an issue. I think another big factor is that if this reappears at the end of this year, and they still don't have a vaccine and whatever, then that's even going to kind of double down. It's going to reinforce that, right? And what's and I thought about this more since our conversation last night, which is that people will have their offices in their home, and one of the big concerns about that from the bosses is going to be, they're goofing off, right? So now, so there's basically going to be ways that they can monitor the behavior during business hours in your home, right?
Right. Wow. So literally,
that's
so it's
natural extension, right?
Yeah. So it becomes kind of like a foreign government, that little section of the embassy is actually corporate property, like something kind of like that.
Sort of. I mean, at some level, certainly as far as, being under observation and all of that, because that seems to me to be a kind of a natural extension of where things are at. That goes on in offices already in very much so. Right. Even monitoring your number of keystrokes and things. And so,
Steve, I just want everyone to know I got a lot of keystrokes. I'm high on the keystrokes. Now, most of that is delete, and how do you spell that?
You're just tapping Z over and over again. I know. But yeah, so that and so the one, and then the next question is, what happens to the sort of higher end offices? In other words, the corporate centers and people with titles and all of that, are they still getting together, or do they just have mainly their own offices in their 6 homes, and that they can communicate to their other people who have got their 6 homes, right? And so that's a really interesting thing, is how even the higher end commercial real estate will be looked at.
Well, but isn't that a huge part of how New York City is divided up? I mean,
yes. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Wow.
Was it a rhetorical question?
No.
Yeah, I mean, so you sort of, if you extrapolate this across the whole situation, it's is that going to really change? Like, in other words, the commercial occupancy, and I don't need to go into it, but everybody knows that the retail environment was already very stressed, and because of the internet and blah blah blah, but
keystrokes.
Yes, right. but it I think that there's just in terms of bricks and mortar, there's going to be even more of a change potentially.
So then one last question, and this was our big question last night. What happens to the cities? Yeah.
Well, your actual question is the more specific last night, which is that are they seen as dangerous?
Right.
And I think initially, the idea is that they're dangerous because you're more likely to get ill, you're more likely to pick up something there, right?
Right.
But the fact is, as I said, it's just like, what, when Jessica and I got here, the city was way more dangerous. And you know what? It was a lot more interesting, and there was also a lot more space for creative people, for because they could afford to be here, for one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, now unfortunately, part of this is that a lot of those people, they're working in, their film production, or or other theatrical things, or they're working and the problem is that that's already been sort of decentralized, right? Because what what then makes, this place different than Detroit? In fact, maybe Detroit's more interesting.
Right. Right. Yeah, interesting. Wow.
And there's not restaurant jobs.
Yeah. Well, that's that whole thing. That was the whole support. Everything that you're saying about the creative class, should numbers begin to even out again like they were back in the 80s.
Yeah.
But almost everything you're saying about the creative class has to do with people gathering, whether it's their audience or, like you said, their bread and butter from the restaurant jobs.
Right. Yeah.
Oy. All right. Well, thank you, Steve, just for taking some minutes and just getting our heads around some of this stuff. And definitely I want to come back as more time goes and, please catch us up on what's going on.
Anytime.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you,
All right.
Steve. Have a great night.
night.
Give Jess a big hug.
I will.
Talk to you.
I miss you so much, Willie Dilly.
I miss you too, Beth.
Oh my god, you guys are so mushy. You know you can do this in a private chat, right?
No, I miss you too, Liv. I'm so excited that my best friend and my boyfriend are in the same place. Kind of.
And me.
Oh yeah, hi Lucas.
I'm just saying you don't see me and Lucas all over each other.
Yeah, right, because even when we're in the same room, we don't do that.
So, what's new with everyone?
Absolutely nothing.
Well, I saw 4 squirrels in the yard today, and one of them...
Stop. I can't do this anymore.
What's wrong?
This?
Cabin fever?
No. Beth, I love you, and I know you love me.
Lucas, not now.
What?
Beth?
We've been Netflix partying behind your backs.
Shut up, Lucas.
Wait.
Seriously, Beth?
No.
What show?
It's not what you think. It was just...
What show?
Outlander.
Ugh.
We were supposed to start that together.
I couldn't wait for you, Will.
I can't believe this.
You said we would binge watch together?
Well, I'm going to binge with someone else from now on.
Don't be so upset, Will. It's not like we're not doing the exact same thing.
What?
Will.
That's right.
It was just one meetup in Animal Crossing New Horizons. I just wanted to sell my turnips. Maybe pick some fruit from her trees.
Oh, he picked some fruit, all right.
Ew.
Oh, that's just disgusting.
I'm serious. That's all it was. At first. But then the Nook phone chats got a little hot and heavy.
We snuck away for a little getaway on my private island.
And now we're building a second home in Minecraft.
How could you?
Olivia, you don't even like video games.
It turns out they're a lot more fun with the right person.
That's it. I'm out.
Will, I can't even look at you.
Well, that went great.
Yeah. Hey, Liv. You think when this is all over, we could maybe go on a real date? Like, in person? Liv? Hello? She'll call back.
Yes, that keeps getting funnier every single time that I watch it. And believe me, we've got more coming your way. All right. We mentioned them at the top of the show. We saw that very first song that actually put them on the charts. Ladies and gentlemen, all the way, we're all East Coast, West Coast tonight. All the way live from the West Coast. Ladies and gentlemen, Laura Lynn and Rocky, welcome back.
Hello.
Good to be back.
Yeah, thanks
for having us.
Yes, now we mentioned at the top of the show that it's been 2 months, almost to the day, since we saw you last. And my first question was gonna be, what's changed, but
That's
you don't
fairly
have
obvious
to-
for some of us.
Rocky, what's going on?
I mean, there's just so much of it. And I'm just letting it slowly take over. So here,
Yes.
here, and then
Yes.
soon it'll be just fully. I'll just be a gorilla.
Oh my gosh.
We have since the beginning, we've had a weekly Thursday night Zoom with some of our closest friends in LA, and we play a game each time, which is called Hat or Hair, where people guess, is Rocky wearing a hat?
If I'm
Or
kind of
is
far enough back in frame, it can be pretty,
Yeah.
it's pretty hard to tell what is.
Oh my God. 4 more years. 4 more years. Come on. Let it go. Let it grow. Come on, Rocky, seriously, you got to know, like, you got
Well,
to
I remembered this morning that you, in fact, have, so a few friends have now been like, I think you need to let it connect.
Oh, yeah.
I might have to, next time we see you, maybe it'll be, I'll be sporting your look a little bit more. Yeah, there you go.
Awesome. So, we heard 2 tall mountains
yeah.
at the top of the show, and now,
Early days of quarantine, yeah.
and now, what are we going to hear tonight?
Now we're going to play a cover of After Hours by the Velvet Underground.
Awesome. All right, let's roll that. Here we go.
1, 2, 3. If you close the door, the night could last forever. Leave the sun shine out and say hello to never. All the people are dancing and they're having such fun. I wish it could happen to me. But if you close the door, I never have to see the day again. If you close the door, the night could last forever. Leave the wine glass out and drink a toast to never. Oh, someday I know someone will look into my eyes and say, hello, you're my very special one. But if you close the door, I never have to see the day again. Dark party bars, shiny Cadillac cars, and the people on subways and trains, looking gray in the rain as they stand disarray. Oh, but people look well in the dark. If you close the door, the night could last forever. Leave the sun shine out and say hello to never. All the people are dancing and they're having such fun. I wish it could happen to me. But if you close the door, I'd never have to see the day again. I'd never have to see the day again. Once more, I'd never have to see the day again.
Yeah! You guys are setting a very high bar for yourselves for your third time. Ask about the saxophone. What do you want to know about that saxophone? Is that some crazy
was
thing
a
you
late-
invented?
It was a very late edition. We added that last evening.
Yeah, I even though I played saxophone in the middle school band, marching band to try, because if you joined marching band, you didn't have to do PE. So I learned saxophone, but I couldn't relearn it in 12 hours. So I did my best.
Yeah, that was magnificent, and it's a fancy looking saxophone. I as well played. I morphed from clarinet to saxophone. Yeah, I took all the uncoolness and brought it with me, and I was equally bad. Yeah. So that's an electronic saxophone?
Yeah, it's a genuine relic from the 80s. It's a Casio digital horn, DH100.
Gosh, Casio.
And I have big plans for that thing, but this is our first public use of it. Yeah.
Well, we are honored. So, why that song? What brought you to that song?
I guess I feel like we've been gravitating towards songs about sort of loneliness or being cut off, but that aren't, that have sort of a sense of humor or something. I guess. Yeah. Does that sound about right? Like.
And a sax solo.
And in our telling.
We were like, we've got to stretch it out. It's only 2 minutes long. What can we do to add some more time to the song? Sax solo.
Yeah. Sax solo. Well, next time we come, why stop at 5, 7, 10 minutes? Let's go. Epic recording.
Careful. Yeah, be careful. I'll have that much more time to master.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for taking some time. That was lovely. We always love having you on.
Thank you
so much. Yeah,
right.
It was really fun.
You guys be safe, and we'll talk again soon.
Sounds good.
All right.
Bye.
Take it easy. Bye-bye. Fantastic. Very talented. All right. A little function, a little form, a little just taking a moment right now and looking back to just over 2 months ago when all of this began, and also wanting to just take a quick moment, close our eyes, and remember to help strengthen everybody who needs a little strength. Just send it out their way, through the head, through the heart. Now, we got a couple of great shows next week. Tom LaFleche has been working on a thing called Working From Home. Maybe I should put him in touch with Steve. He doesn't like working from home too much. And actually, I don't know if Kate knows this, but Babs makes a little cameo in that video. That's going to be amazing. And then I received this. We're talking about hair and beards. Craig Oswald, this gave me an idea. We're going to check in with none other than Steve Dimmick, high-end hair and makeup, and see what he's got to say about what all these guys are going through. All right. Have a wonderful, restful, safe weekend. Hunker, hug, haven. And we'll see you on Tuesday. Bravo!
You can see we're losing it a little bit over here. We're just trying to communicate the depth.
Derangement.
The derangement.
Being with the door closed. Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay.